I'm not usually someone who is awestruck or starstruck quite easily, but these ladies have held my attention since the very first time I saw them perform on my computer screen some many, many years ago. Since then, I've had the good fortune of being able to see them perform at a few events, some of which were some very popular soca and mainstream events, and most recently at an interfaith service that was held by the Ganesh Utsav Foundation in South Trinidad, just to pray for Trinidad and Tobago, for healing, for peace, for togetherness, and for unity. It is with great pleasure that I, first and foremost, as a fan and thereafter as the host of this show, welcome to the set of episode number 10 of Trini Inspiration, the duo, the sisters, who go by the name of Xavier Strings.
Thank you.
I love the intro. I love the intro. So we hire you for all our intros.
Ladies, good evening and welcome.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Trust you, me, the pleasure is entirely ours. I remembered seeing you for the very first time. You popped up on my feed, and I don't remember if you were playing in your bedroom. It looked like you were in your house. It was a cozy environment. And what I loved wasn't just the music, but what I loved was how much, whilst playing, you were enjoying the music. I'll give you a little history about me. When it comes to Tassa music, I judge a Tassa band by how much the members are enjoying their own music. So if they're playing and they're ripping up Tassa and they're playing real best Tassa, but the fellas are even bopping their head or moving their feet or anything, I can't vibes off of that. So seeing you vibe off of your own music was the first major attraction for me. Is it that you lose yourself in your music?
Yes. That's probably the best way to kind of describe it. When you're really comfortable with what you're playing and with what you're getting in terms of the energy, often I guess the energy off of each other. And then when we're in an audience, when you get the energy off of the audience, there's something that it kind of mixes and causes a whole different level of energy for you. And it puts a new level of thrill, I think.
I agree with that entirely. It also comes from the actual music itself. Because when we have to play, when we play classical music, when we play more European forms of music, which we are accustomed to because as a violinist you're trained in classical music, and you don't get as many experiences as a violinist to do soca music, and we're not built into the system of the music. It's brass, and it's, you know what I mean. You can see a flute and all in soca music, but you never see a violin really.
Correct.
Right. So it causes a situation where a lot of violinists don't really play our music, right? So when you actually get to the point where you could play what's in you, it changes everything.
Now you talked about a lot of reasons why you feel the music and how you feel the music, but getting back to that example of me seeing you performing in your house, I think there's something that's missing because you didn't have an audience then. You would have been feeding off of each other. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it appeared as though you all were playing not just feeding off of energy of each other, but feeding off of lineage. You ladies look like music. You ladies look like music is in your blood. Talk to me.
That's it right there.
Talk to me.
Touch us.
Where did the music come from? Where did it start?
Well, the thing about it, we came from a musical family. Our mother is, she's the bread and butter of our heritage, of everything that we do in terms of our music. And it started off with mom being a classical musician, performing in Europe as a double bass player. And she played with different orchestras all around Europe. They toured and all kinds of things like that. And she used to primarily play a lot of classical music. And one of her biggest stories is when they asked her to play like Caribbean music and stuff from her own country. Play something from Trinidad, play something from your own heritage. And she'd be like,
Ah.
We didn't get to do that. We weren't allowed to do that.
And not allowed, because that's a huge part of it. The idea that a lot of for so long in our country, in our heritage or history or culture, there's this idea that the music has to be pure and music has to be a certain way. And what is pure? Yes. You know, so there's a level of, you know, a lot of piano children who went through piano lessons, nearly all of them talk about getting wrapped on the knuckles if they ever try to pick out a Calypso or, you know, a kind of thing. And that
song.
Try to pick out a song you know from your own head and your own heritage. And it's so interesting because what has happened in music itself, in learning, education and of music, is that when you look, everybody has come back to every single different group of people, every nationality, every ethnicity has come back to going, where's the music? We could sing. Even if we can't play music, we could sing. So where that come from? Oh, our folk music. Let's make our music based on our folk music. And a lot of folk music, the classical music, comes from folk music. The music that is inherent, the music that comes naturally out of a particular people. And so it doesn't make sense that you can't play your own just because you've taken on an instrument that is not from you originally.
I totally understand. Sorry.
Yeah. No, so Mom, having gone through that experience now, when we were born into an orchestra, we were immediately fed and consistently fed classical, yes, but consistently fed our own music. And our own music became Calypso, Reggae, Bollywood music. We would go for parang. We would go and hear every style of music.
She would literally take us. Because we be listening to music, we go to Best Village, we go to Paramin to hear. She would take us. You know, we play with. Oh, mommy, they playing the violin wrong, they hold it wrong. No, this is the way that is done. This is the style. How does it sound? Well, it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. Okay, well then that's how that's done. You know? So that she inculcated those particular values of loving your own and being in your own.
But interestingly, because the thing is, we would go and you do all the Royal Schools of Music exams. You got a formal education in music, where you learned the Bach, the Beethovens, and all of that.
And you learned the style of playing as well. Yeah.
But where we learned our music was more by ear, more by experience, more from going into the music, going into those homes where they sit down having and talking and paranging and extempoing, and we in the midst of it all, sitting amongst these people, singing and talking and you're hearing the different energies, the vibes, the syncopations. It was that experience that allowed us, I think, to kind of feel that was what we're supposed to do and how we should be interpreting our own music.
And even the idea of the way that we improvise, it didn't come from like jazz. We did not learn to improvise from jazz. Yeah. We learned to improvise because within the folk culture of our country, there is an improvisation of freeness with your own, you know? So you move with it, and we learn to work with that. If you understand the style of something, you can do it.
So you would have learned music through school, but you would have felt the vibe back home here in Trinidad.
Through experience.
Through experience. Now, you've just amply described when we talk about vibe in the music in Trinidad and Tobago, you've basically just described that in a nutshell, but it is not formally taught. As musicians who are formally and properly taught, do you wish for the day when our music could be more formally taught or formalized in some way or the other? Because in pandemic times especially, but even outside of it, it's not always possible or feasible for everybody to have a mommy like you all had who would take them to Paramin, who would take them here, take them there to get that experience and that exposure. So in the absence of that, what would you propose as probably the people who would be in a best position right now to offer up a suggestion? What would you propose be put in place to replace that?
We can't say propose to replace because the programs have actually started, thankfully. They have started programs, whether it be at university level, they have music in music in the community programs, different kind of programs which cause musicians to kind of go and experience different styles of music. Even the fact that, okay, there was music, what's it called? Music in communities, where they had pan, tabla, different instruments
Right,
in
the
the
schools.
schools.
Yes. But it also has the O-level programs with, I mean, Mom was a major part of CXC, of creating CXC curriculum and stuff like that. And CXC and O-levels, and we'll call it O-levels now. So, everything, point is, right, she was a major part of founding those programs, and then later on she was the founding director for like the Pan in the Classroom initiative. So when it has already started in that way as well, people are being children are being inculcated into their own music using pan. The first instrument back in the day used to be recorder. Still is in some schools simply because of portability, but now, once the school can afford it and once everything can be put in place, the pan is the first thing that children experience, which is huge because we didn't get that exact same experience. So certain things had to be put in place by ourselves. But there were in the past there were educators and choir masters like Pat Bishop and Olive Walk, and people who were very strong who were very middle class people who were realizing that the folk and the culture was not being taught. So they brought it back into the schools in choirs and well, usually choirs, all of those choirs. But apart from that, you also have Panorama, right? Which is there's something I want to say about Panorama. In UTT right now, there are some projects being put in place to start to score Panorama music. Formalize, when I say formalize it, start to understand the structures of a lot of these arrangements that were created by it.
Yeah.
You know, brilliant. And when you listen, we both came out of one of few additional formal education that we really got was we both went to university in UTT to do the additional music, right? And one of the things you sort of learn is that when it has a lot of foreign tutors there, and when they came here, they were so excited about Panorama. They could hear the form of it, but it was different. They could hear that the inculcation of the Western styles, but it was something completely different. It was an addition to that. It was a movement forward, and I think that's what we are. The instrument that we first gravitated to was the violin. I play pan. Janine played clarinet. We both played piano. I play guitar. I have a school, so I teach a few instruments as well. But what you're trying to do now is trying to move forward. So when I'm teaching my kids now, it's more a case of you're taking folk songs sometimes, and here, this is the song. Learn this. I teach a lot of them are learning Savannah Grass right now, right? That is the song that they're learning their first finger. One of the most important things to say, but playing on one string and then moving to the next string. You know what I mean? They're learning that, and that is how they're learning their music. You know, and you take what you have and you make it work, and they know the sound of it. I don't have to lay out music for you to learn that. You know what it sounds like. So I'm also showing them and syncopation, showing them how rhythms can be. You know these rhythms, play it. But these are syncopations that people from outside don't play as easily. Professionals from outside take years coming back here to come back into the style of how we sound. That's why sometimes you listen to some orchestras or somebody from overseas singing a song that was a folk song from here, or Who Let the Dogs Out, or whatever. It don't sound quite right.
Correct.
It sounds a little bit different, simply because that their culture, their musical culture is different to ours. we know what our music sounds like. And we can fall into it. We can fall into that folk sound. And a lot of the music around the Caribbean has some similarities. And because of that, we can feed into each one. So when we play and we perform, we do that. We bring in the music from a lot of different countries. We went to Dominica and bouillon music. Yeah. We fell in love with bouillon, right? And it reminds you of Zouk. It reminds you of, and because we already got a little bit of a foundation of folk and an openness in our ears to these different kinds of music, we were able to soak in the differences, recognize that there are differences, and recognize the similarities and work it, you know? And I think that's hugely important for us.
And the reaction too of the audiences that we interact with, when you Caribbean people hear their music. I mean, yes, it's nice to hear music from abroad and all kind of thing, but when they hear their music, it's a different level for them. And I mean, they recognizing the rhythms, they feeling the rhythms, they're singing the songs, and then it's on the violin, which doesn't make sense to them, but they're singing real good and they give them the energy. It's a whole, it takes them as well to the next place because they could connect with the rhythms that is theirs.
I want to take that as my point into our next bit of conversation, but firstly, I have to say thanks for that sit rep of sorts of where we're at presently and the progress that we've made. It actually sounds very hopeful. Yeah. Like that, what you've just communicated there sounds, it sounds like a lot more than I expected. And it sounds like we're in a much better place than I expected. And I still know that there are others who will say that we're not there as yet. We should be further. We can't, go back and change the times, but I am glad that we are at least there, for starters. But I want to talk about the violin because you said that the violin resonated with you, right? It resonates with so many people. You also mentioned that when people hear their own music, they go wild, they go crazy, right? Does that redound to they feeling that they have been accepted? Does it redound to them feeling that their culture, their music, their identity has been recognized and is now mainstream? Because when foreign acts sing our music or play our music, we as Trinis have that same excitement inside of us. Is it a recognition factor? Yeah?
I think it is. I mean, everybody wants to belong to something and to feel a sense of belonging. And
contribution.
And that what they do, what they produce, what they're accustomed partying to sometimes is what is accepted and what everyone enjoys together. And that sense of identity that they get from connecting with the music that they know, they were almost part of the journey of it being produced.
Yes.
They can really connect with it as a result of that.
Because it's a recognition and it's also some history as well. It's that I am seen, I am heard, my culture is recognized, my identity is validated.
I have a voice.
It's that and so much more. Yeah. And having said that, I want to take it back to the violin now. Now, when you started playing the violin and started doing local compositions on the violin, you would have started at home, posted a couple of videos online. Did you at any point in time, at that time, feel as though what you were doing was somehow sacrilegious and I say sacrilegious in the Trini context because there are those who would say that, no, the violin don't belong in Trinidad music, right? Did it at any point in time feel sacrilegious, or if not so extreme, did it feel taboo? Did it feel like you were, music was following its natural course? Or did you innately know even then that this belonged, we just needed to make it fit?
It was never had to make it fit.
Yeah, it was just always natural. For us, I think because of our upbringing, it has always been second nature that we play our own.
Yeah.
We used to be, at home, we vibes off each other. We don't even realize what we're doing. And we naturally sit down and improvise and the different energies and all kinds of things that come out from us just interacting. We've grown up like that.
No, you may have grown up like that, but what I'm getting at is that the average other Trinbagonian who didn't grow up like that, for them this would have been novel. So I'm looking at it from their perspective, as much as this may have been very normal and very easy for the both of you. For the average other Trinidadian, this was novel, and they would have perceived it in different ways. Was it acceptance from the start, from the public, when the both of you put your work forward, or was there some resistance, or any resistance for that matter, along the way?
Literally been no resistance.
Never.
And I'm going to give two very interesting stories. I don't know if they're going to be interesting. You decide. Alright? Two different things. One, we were in England, and we both were there. We were just doing our thing, we play together, we play our own stuff, we play our own music, play everything. And we got a call from BBC Radio. And they asked us to come and play something at an event, on a radio station for something, on their radio station for something. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And we basically went up there and we created a fusion out of Santi Maniti and something else, and another song that was actually so popular of that time. And we sort of merged it. And then we did it as a two-piece. And so it was just no accompaniment, anything, we just did it. And people were like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. We're like, oh, okay. This is, yeah, good, thanks. I think that was the first time for me when I realized, wait, we have a contribution. We are actually taking the voice of the instrument that everybody's known and taking it to somewhere that they did not expect. And it's exciting for them.
Because it's new, it's different, it's unexpected.
Right.
And people are always, you don't realize how much you long for something different, something new. You always hear the violin in all kinds of different settings, orchestras everywhere. But so you're used to hearing that sound. As soon as you hear it sounding different, it just piques your interest. And therefore we've never had any hesitation or anything saying, no, that's wrong. Never, ever, ever.
It's actually the other way around. The second story.
Oh, yes.
Well, segueing this way.
The first one was interesting, by the way.
Thank you very much. Alright, so the second story is we were going to go to an event and we had to perform. And they said they don't like Soca.
Oh, yes.
Play everything else but Soca. Trini's. Okay. We were like, it took us a while, but we kind of went, we hear you, but we have a little experience in the industry, so we'll give you a little. And we played a song that was controversial at the time because of the video, Raise. Our version of Raise.
And they actually said they didn't like Raise.
They didn't like that song. And we played it. And after that, we got from the same people who just told us they don't like Soca, and they particularly don't like Raise, that they never, it was the most beautiful thing they'd ever heard.
It wasn't the most beautiful thing they ever heard. They jump up and this woman and everybody, oh God! These are the same women. It was really women. It was like a birthday event. And they were all, yes, ting, ting, ting. And then this, raise your hands in the air. And all of a sudden, oh God! and we say, but you know, that was Raise.
That was the same song.
Didn't really want.
And it was also Soca that you didn't know. Once we saw the reaction, we went, okay, switch.
Because
and
that
we went off and we
best.
continued into a little bit more Soca, and then we ended the set. Because for the majority of the time we didn't play Soca.
Yeah.
Got a okay rhythm, you little feeling dancing queen and your little thing, all the little foreign stuff. Raise, come on, and suddenly people.
Energy changed.
And the same people, the point is, apart from them up and dancing, they were able to come to us after and say, we apologize, we understand what you just did, and we love it now. It was very interesting because there are people from our own culture who don't like our music within our own culture. So it's an interesting experience to be able to show it to them. In a light that maybe they haven't heard before. Maybe pan might be too loud to you, or Soca too jiggy, or the lyrics not really always, forward focused or inspirational in a way that maybe our music should be moving forward a little bit more. Voice is helping out with that a bit, you know. Shorty eye and thing, you know, but even without those, when it's laid bare as what it is, in terms of just the melody, what you could do with it, with another instrument that you'd see past, and you could see past the
noise,
the noise you have for it.
Could it just be a repackaging of sorts? Because I'll give you an example. So Patrice Roberts, right? When Patrice sings some of her songs the way that they are recorded, that's Patrice. That's one way of Patrice.
Yeah.
And then when she brings out that piano and puts the spotlight on her, pulls up a stool and sits down and starts singing, you're like, before you were like, that's Patrice, and now you're like, that's Patrice? Yes. Same song, same lyrics, same everything else, it's just been repackaged.
Yeah.
And while you were saying that, that's what I'm getting, that, you know, the packaging may not always be kind of, you know, fit with everybody, but sometimes you just need to repackage the thing. And that leads me into the point now where I ask if you think that you've classed up the music a bit. Because, you know, the violin itself is a very, very, very classy instrument, right? And you add the violin to anything, and suddenly you've upped the ante on the occasion, on the song, on whatever it is on, right? And here it is that you are giving us all these soca tunes. I've never heard the Santi Manite, but now my interest is piqued because because any Kaiso fan, right? Santi Manite is the shiznit, you know. But is it that now you have reached and connected, and you can tell me from your own experiences, have you reached out to people who normally wouldn't say yes to soca, but when packaged like this and suddenly it bougie enough for them, they're like, hey, I could vibes this. I ain't coming in the fete to wine and jam and jump and wave and misbehave, but I could listen to this and sip some tea. And so on and so forth.
I mean,
I don't know what's in the tea, but yeah.
It's fantastic. We've been called for occasions where it's pomp and circumstance. Opening of the president's house. And it's nice when those pomp and circumstance experiences, one's a mix of the music, and we play in Savannah Grass as well, in the middle of the people and them walking in. It changes the energy, but it's your music. And we've been called, fortunately, I think we've been very fortunate in that, to be called for a range of different types. The bourgeoisie,
the feta,
the one who wants to sit down and just sip some tea and enjoy some nice music. And give them all the experience of their own in a different package. And every single one, young, old, in between, has been able to appreciate it in some way.
We're talking about going to UN in New York and actually going and playing music to a wide range of this audience that possibly many of them have not heard your music at all. And it being, whoa, this is interesting, this is new, this has freshness. This is an instrument we know, so there's a familiarity, a way in. But apart from that, everything else is different, you know?
Yeah. But I think also what we bring as well, that kind of takes us to different levels. We have a natural, people keep saying, y'all have choreography and all this kind of movement, and it causes an interaction. The interaction that allows people to feel they connect a lot more even with music through that interaction, through our interaction with them, and they feel they could connect more with everything that's going on. And I don't know if that's something special. It's special to us, what we bring to the music, but it helps with that connection with everyone.
I want to say this, we are in what is now called the Errol Fabian Studio. After our interview with him, we have dubbed it the Errol Fabian Studio in honor of him.
Awesome.
And I want to say that Uncle Errol has always made the point that we as West Indians, but more specifically we as Trimbagonians, many times over do not understand fully what it is that we own the rights to, what it is that we have.
Yes.
And whilst the world is seeing this as something that is fresh and something that they want, and there is now a demand for it because you've given them a little taste of it, we for far too long have been sitting on this and because it's ours, because we grew up with it, familiarity, we sort of take it, we took it for granted. And only now we're beginning to sniff and smell the possibility and the opportunity that our identity, represented in this instance through music, brings to our economy and can be exposed to the wider world. Because you keep saying over and over how fresh it is and how much people all over the world. How long have you been hearing artists say that they can't wait to take their music internationally? And artists have come and artists have gone and many have perished, all right, career-wise or in actual life, right? With the goal inside of them of taking soca one day mainstream, you know, and we never really had to try in the first instance because what we have is mainstream. Even if they didn't accept it in the former packaging, what we have is mainstream. And your repackaging and its global acceptance is now proving that. So we are mainstream, right? We are mainstream, and what we have is deserving of that global attention. We just need to tweak the thing a little bit. And you ladies have been doing that.
It's tweaking thing, but also opportunity. And opportunity for more musicians. Look how many musicians are coming out of Trinidad and Tobago right now, for example. Through all these programs, UTT, all these different things. They've come out, they've been educated, they have an energy, they have a vibe, they have the culture. And now they need a forum to be able to continuously be honing their craft, showing their craft, showcasing their craft. And where we have that missing link is that we don't have those opportunities present on a regular basis. We don't have a Broadway in Trinidad and Tobago that allows film after film after film, show after show after show, continuous, in a way, education of your public, education of the tourists that come in, of your music, a continuous flow of that music. And because we don't have those opportunities, people want to take it mainstream, they have the drive, and then it dies off, or they say you have to leave the country to kind of push it further. And then they leave, it's hard out there, and the support system isn't there as much as it needs to be for it to be able to continue to thrive and move up. So we have opportunities, but we need to support it here.
I agree. Janelle, the entertainer, referred to that as the Olatunji effect. And he explained that as, you know, Olatunji here, and he also used little bits as an example. Olatunji here, little bits here. But we didn't really love Olatunji until he became center stage on a global stage. And likewise with so many others, while the artists are here, musicians or singers, and they're grinding away at the craft, or actors, thespians, and others in the arts and entertainment, and they're grinding away at their craft, they don't really feel the love sometimes, you know, from our own Trini people until they hit that global stage. And when they do, hey, cool, I know him, hey, Trinidad on the map. And that's how we are. Is there something we could do to change that? It's a good question that I know you all can't answer, and I can't answer either. But I'm hoping that we could.
The thing is, I think we have to remember things like California. California in America has the largest, it has the largest economy in the entire United States. The states with the largest economy. It's also where LA is, and it's where the film industry and the majority of the music industry, everything is. And sometimes I think if we are able to look out, because in honesty, we personally did not understand the economic viability of our work until we went overseas. And somebody from overseas went, oh, this is, wow. We went, what? Oh, this is us in our home bedroom. We cool with the two sisters, we linemen, we cool with singing in the car because we have a radio. That was what it was. It was just us being us. We were just, as you said, we take it for granted because it's normal, it's natural, it's easy. But it's not easy to people in other places because they have not experienced the world in the same way we have. So you honestly, you never know until you go outside. And if you're able to, if we can look at the world a little bit more and see that actually there is potential in creating a Bollywood industry, a Nollywood industry, a Hollywood industry,
A
with
Trini world
everything,
industry.
with, you know,
Yeah.
with everything feeding
Yes.
into it. If we, it takes
So
some
is it a,
intervention. If I'm honest,
is it an arts and entertainment cluster?
Yes.
that agglomeration is the most important part of it. If there's a lot of people, honestly, there's so many artists going who people don't even know really. There's a huge rock circuit in Trinidad, for instance, and they're okay out here, but those same artists huge outside, not huge in the same way that
Yeah,
they're not
like
as
Park
mainstream,
and-
but they go to huge festivals. They make their living by going outside and coming back. A lot of artists I know tell me that the smaller artists, they will say the only way for them to be heard is for them to make the album out in Jamaica so that it feeds back to Trinidad. Because if you have a production from Jamaica, it looks like you're Jamaican. And therefore, Trinidad will hear you better.
But I mean, Jamaica, in reality, in the region, Jamaica has done so well. And we have a lot to learn in terms of making an industry, strengthening an industry. Learn from our neighbors, strengthen the industry here. And even this COVID thing, it has helped us to realize, as a region, we have to find ways to connect with each other because we can't rely on everybody outside all the time. People can't come into the region at all because all the borders are closed. How can we support each other across the islands? Jamaica is doing phenomenally with entertainment. That connection to the entertainers across all the islands comes straight down to Trinidad. There must be a way for even the cluster approach. Clusters in Trinidad, yes, but clusters that allow the connection across the whole region. Perhaps is where we'll be able to get the volume that we need to get, that you get everywhere else. We need something that's more consistent, something that is, because we have the artists, we have people,
1 million can be easily overlooked, but 21, close to 30 million.
I think around 10, but the diaspora is a different matter.
Yeah.
And that's massive because the diaspora is actually bigger than the Caribbean.
But
it is. The actual numbers of people who have parentage or migrated first and second generation, it's huge numbers across the world by comparison to what's actually in the Caribbean. That's the difference in the numbers.
So we are in a sense flirting around with ideas
Yeah.
until such time as something is solidified or some other solution or pool of solutions and systems are put in place so that we could deal with this issue. Because as I've said before on the show as well, arts and entertainment and all that it offers is the next oil boom for Trinidad and Tobago and much of the wider Caribbean. We already have the talent, we already have some of the knowledge and the know-how, and we have many of these supporting systems, people, etc. in place with some obvious infrastructure needed. But what we're missing, as you rightfully said, is the platform. We're missing the platform, we're missing the opportunity to showcase ourselves, our talent, what we have to offer. Even in our conversations with folks, Trevor, from the film festival, we have so many wonderful film directors and so many wonderful people in Trinidad and Tobago in film who can't catch a break. For instance, if I want to go look at a local film now, there is no platform on which I can't go onto cable and say, okay, I can go onto this channel, local pay-per-view, and buy this movie. It's not happening, And this is supposed to be our platform, but our platform is not showing our own work, So there are many challenges to overcome. And I would, with your permission, like to end this part of the conversation there, because there is this as insightful and enlightening as this has been. I also feel that it would really be remiss of me to have you both ladies on the show and not allow our audience to get to know you more personally and individually. So we've introduced you as Xavier Strings. Everybody know that you're sisters if you didn't. You can see the resemblance, right? Sisters. And as I was remarking before we came on the air, before we started recording, I could look at you and know that you are the elder of the two, and that you are the much more mature, grown-up one, who would have been the caretaker of this younger, free-spirited young lady here. And I know that what I'm saying is going to be a cause for some bacchanal later.
After this film, after this, we have to live after this. Don't cause friction here.
Ladies, I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves individually, not just as Xavier Strings, but introduce yourselves individually to wider Trinidad and Tobago and the world.
Why you look at me? You're the mature.
I feel I must somebody come.
Yeah, but you just take and then you just go and add and things. So, all right, I'll try to think. I'll stop. All right, so I'm Janelle Xavier. I don't know if I should speak here or speak here. Oh my God. Hello. How are you? I'm Janelle Xavier. I'm a musician in general. I'm a violinist first, but I'm also a violist, singer, pianist, guitarist, pianist. And I teach all of those things at my school. And we have online classes right now. I have been playing since I was 8 years old. Playing the violin since I was 8. Started piano at 5 or 6. Mom hit us on the knuckles a little too often, so we segue. Moved on. Moved on a bit. I enjoy music. I'm the techie one in the family. So I'm the one who will deal with a lot of the some of the production of audio and stuff like that, setting up the technical stuff like these guys right here, you know. Who am I? I don't know.
You're the elder sister to this lovely young lady who sits at your side, whose name is?
Janine.
Yes, what is your name?
Janine. Janine Xavier-Cross. Married, about 7 years now. I got it wrong, I'm in trouble. Let's not say anything. Fantastic. Yes, the younger of two in our family. It's a family of just girls. Mom, Janelle, Janine. When I say just girls, we are the core, you know.
It's still just us.
It's still just us. Okay. So who am I? I'm a musician, violinist, yes. I grew up, we started off in terms of education. Really? You don't do it like that. I'm a musician. I studied sciences when I started off, actually, biological sciences. So I did my undergraduate in biological sciences. And I was like, good, I'm in a lab. And at the end of my program and all my studies, we went to the UK to do my studies. I did my work, I did exceptionally well, and I finished. And I thought, no way do I want to do this for the rest of my life. So, segued from biological science. And then I went and I did a master's in planning, spatial planning in the UK. Most of our education that way was in the UK actually. Worked as a planner, urban and regional planning. So I look at development and spaces and developing people and enterprises and things like that. And then I also worked in areas like poverty reduction. And so my background is music, yes. My passion is music. My heart, my everything is music. But we've always been brought up to say, you have options. Always have options in life. And my option has been planning. And so I've kind of enjoyed being a part of the development world. I still work in development now with an agency. And I enjoy that part of what it makes me and what I can contribute. The biggest part has always been about contribution to our whole nation. I mean, growing up, we grew up in our home and mom always told us, at 18 you have to go. So you always knew, gosh, it's coming up to 18, get ready to go. Left Trinidad, went to the UK at 18. My eyes were opened to a whole new lifestyle, experiences. And I think I love to travel a lot because of my trips. in and around Europe, and the exposure that I got because of that, it has made me a whole different person. I can't keep still. If I could, like right now, the fact that I cannot travel, oh gosh, pressure, but I know, right? But I always about trying to experience new things. New things all the time. I have a lot of energy sometimes, and I think sometimes even rehearsals, we have rehearsals with ourselves, we have a band as well, and in band rehearsals, it's like, you may start getting into music, and then my excitement goes to a different level, because that's who I am. I have this built-up energy within me that just kind of explodes when the music starts. So it seems like I have all these different personalities as a result. It's like Janine in the boardroom, Janine in the music room, Janine at home with her husband, Janine, different spaces, but at the end of the day, it's Janine. I'm pretty, just me, cool, basic.
And I should have actually said that, yes, just like Janine, same thing. I did education elsewhere. I did geology in Jamaica, and then I went on to do my postgraduate in environmental sciences and environmental, GIS and things like that, which is something that's quite important for now, but I'm not an office person, I realize, not so much.
But doing geology puts you in the front runner seat to be a future prime minister.
Yes,
right? The chances are so much higher.
That's itself.
It makes it, yeah, go on.
I was going to tell you that is some incredible back information about the both of you that helps me to understand things a little bit better, and just the way that the both of you would have spoken there, and your energy throughout the interview so far with one another helps me to understand why you gel so well and flow so seemingly seamlessly on stage.
Why is that? No, let me hear.
Why is that? You seem to have an amazing rapport, and even before getting to see this here, right? Seeing you on stage, I see the glances, I saw the glances, I saw the way that you would glance across at each other, and you make little eye contact, and maybe it comes from experience, or maybe it comes from your connection, but just a glance, just a little bit of eye contact, and you know what to do. One knows to step back, one knows to move forward. You're feeding off of each other. So that energy that we connected with, not just with your music, but with you as a pair on screen, seeing it in person, on stage, and now, even in conversation, seeing it there, it is undeniable. It just, everything just sort of, everything just, the world just makes sense. The world just makes sense now.
But you know what's the crazy thing about it is, our personalities are total polar opposites. And where we come together and find agreement is in the music.
Literally. That's it. Literally. We disagree on so many other things in like life and, being sisters and being together and doing things, but
music, that is
it just breaks it. It breaks it for us. It's the one thing that's always done it.
So whether for family or for country, music has the potential to be the best remedy and the best mediator and the best possible solution if you're looking for conflict resolution.
Yes. Go talk to me. Yes. Go talk to me.
Yes.
Just sing something. Just sing something. Okay, I understand. Okay, we're good now. All right.
Ladies, before we wrap up today's little conversation, I made a mental note that we were not going to end this conversation on any note other than by talking about mom. And you've given us some back information about mom, but here's the mom that I know. The mom that I know is the mom who is not just your mom, and as we said earlier, not even your manager, but your momager, because she manages Xavier Strings as well. She comes across to me as not a perfectionist, but she's extremely methodical in her approach to things. Even in chatting with her in the lead up to tonight, you could tell with the line of questioning and with the information requested that there is methodology at play here, and she's crossing all her T's and dotting her I's, and everything is taken care of, right?
Maybe what you asked
So-
me.
and in addition to that, seeing mom in action when you ladies are out performing. Mom is your manager, she is your timekeeper, she's your side of the stage director, telling you when to change the set, when to break from what you had planned, when to stand up, when to sit down, when to cross the stage, when to flow, when to do everything else. And in the midst of all of that, mom still manages to find the time and the skill set to pick up a smartphone and go in front of the stage, front and center, to record her two daughters. And she getting upset, and I could see it, she getting agitated if you all not making eye contact, you know. So you all have to walk. I saw that with you. You walk to the front to make sure you make eye contact with mommy. Mom, don't feel I didn't see it.
Oh my God.
Don't feel I didn't see it. So that is my intro to mom. Tell me about mom.
That was a great
You didn't even say anything. You come here.
I think mom is actually at this side, just chilling out and mommaging. Observing what's happening in studio today. But mom, even if you just make a quick side entrance and come say hello to everybody, so that everybody would know who is responsible, not just biologically, you know, but who is responsible in every way possible for the product that is Xavier Strings. Mom, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, mommy?
Very, very, very well.
You have a smile that you're trying really hard to hide. Mommy, you must be very, very proud of your girls.
Well, I am. I must confess I am, because I think as a parent you teach and you encourage and you support, but then what comes out of it is something much greater than you could even conceptualized. And I think that is what it is. When I look at the girls performing on stage, I am in awe and amazement as to what they have done with what they got, And because that is them. Even though you're saying mom did this, mom did that, but what they do on stage is them. And I am just thankful that God has blessed them with talents and that they've been able to use it to His honor and to His glory. And they do all the things that I didn't do and could not do. And they took music to another level that I didn't take it to. As they said, I was in an orchestra, big orchestra, symphony player in England. But music gives you there's a love that comes out of music. There's a joy. When you're in an orchestra, you're a part of a song, but your song is different from everybody else's song. But yet you have to maintain, the timing, maintain the rhythm, maintain the cohesiveness of the whole thing, and it's a bigger than life experience. Music is extraordinary, and I think that is what I wanted them to experience. So yes, they were academia. They did their O-levels, A-levels, masters, and things like that. But music gives you something else that is, it's spiritual.
Mom, you mentioned there just now that you had to maintain your timing and cohesiveness, etc. Little did you know that when you were performing music and doing all of those things, music was teaching you how to maintain timing and cohesiveness with the two daughters that you were having who have polar opposite personalities. So the music taught you how to parent?
Okay, of
Yes.
course. Definitely. But it's been a wonderful experience, and I think I enjoy them perform. I enjoy their performances. Even though you say, but you hear them all the time. No, what happens on stage when, as you said, you described it when you said, just look at them. There's a lot of body language going on. Mm-hmm. And they talk to each other. There's a lot of communication. They talk to each other. You can see sometimes when it's like, look, I think so. Mm-hmm. And the others, well, I don't agree with you. You can see that
conversation taking place, and it's a very, very, what should I say, inclusive. It causes you to listen to what is she hearing? What you become a part of the music, and I think that's the true experience of music. Music is not something that is outside of you; it's inside you, and they are able to cause the audience to become included into this experience and this conversation. And I think that's a peculiar feature of Xavier Strings. They make you, they reach out to you. You matter. Do you want to hear what we experience as musicians? Come in and we share it with you. And I think that is an excellent experience because I experience it every time. And I look at it and I see the audience and people just respond. And that is something, as I say, spiritual, it's heavenly. I mean, music really is the sound of God, eh? You know, it's something He has given us. And throughout the Word of God, the Bible, and you always hear music, the strings, the string instruments, you know, they're always playing. And this is something extraordinary. And we must cultivate it, we must encourage it, we must, as they say, put it on a platform and share it with others. That's all. Good.
Mommy must always have the first word and the last word. And if you attempt to have any word after Mommy has the last word, that is not the last word. That is the start of another argument altogether. So we will let Mommy have the last word, and I will ask in closing, Mommy, ladies, how does the public who may not have been in the market for you as yet, who may not have been searching for you as yet, if they are searching for you or have been and have not been successful, how can we find Xavier Strings? How can we see demos of your music and or your performances? And most importantly, how can we get in touch with you?
Okay. That's actually your job.
Yes, I need to refer this question to the momager.
All right, so we are Xavier Strings, and we can be found, if you want to have a picture of us, you can see us on Facebook, on YouTube. Just put in Xavier Strings and you will see a lot of the girls' work. And some of their earlier performances, right down to now, and it's always available on YouTube and Facebook. The addresses now, as you notice, and I'm going to say this, we are all part of the experience. I have to thank God for the girls because they have kept me in the 21st century. So things that I can't do, Janelle, Janine, you would do this and you would do that. And we all contribute to the experience. Yes, some things are my work, but I think I listen a lot to the girls. Because as I say, they are in the 21st century. I am still with a lot of values in the 20th century. And they bring us back, they bring us forward. I also taught music, and I've always found that the children, as a teacher, they teach you. Mm-hmm. The children teach you. So yes, you have the knowledge and you have the information, but you, as a teacher, you always have to make that information relevant to the child. And you remember the child is tomorrow and you are today. So life is all about that. So for me, even though they say I'm the momager, we talk all the time. What do you think about so? I'm a listener. So I listen to their both sides, which are different, as they said. I listen, and then I put it together, and then I deliver it. But as you said, Xavier Strings, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, Xavier Strings.
Xavierstrings.com.
We also have a website, yes, xavierstrings.com. And you can reach us on email.
We have also been taking it for granted that everybody understands Xavier Strings is with an X.
I was about to say that.
So would you please clarify, Xavier Strings is?
With an X.
X-A-V-I-E-R.
Yes. So, and Xavier is a word that can be pronounced Xavier, Xavier, Xavier. All of them are X-A-V-I-E-R.
Same word.
Strings. And one thing you didn't share as much, we are a band. The girls are two, and then sometimes you can see us as a three-piece band where we have our keyboardist, Rodney Harris. Sometimes we have other types of keyboardists who are available. Then we also have Kevin LaFleur as our bass guitar and Jonathan Hensley as our drummer. So it's a full band. So sometimes we operate in terms of size to fit everybody's pockets. People can take the big band, sometimes they can only take the 2 girls, sometimes they can take the 3-piece. But in other words, we flex to accommodate our audiences. But the whole thing is we deliver. The whole thing is, and it's all about, recently I met somebody and he said, I remember seeing the girls perform maybe about 8 years or so ago. He said, and I thought whenever I get married, I am going to have these girls perform at my wedding. 8 years later, we were performing at his wedding. But I think they have a tremendous impact on you because they are different. They are enjoying themselves and they make you enjoy what they're doing as well. So as I say, Xavier Strings, my telephone number is 6891031, 6891031. That's Xavier Strings. And what's my other number? We have other numbers. So
XavierStrings@live.com.
XavierStrings@live.com. So we good. But the thing is, we've enjoyed being a part of this program. And even though I was listening at the side and I wasn't talking, but the girls have done their thing and they are living their life. And I am just happy to be a part of the experience. I'm not in charge of the experience. I am a part of the experience. And I just thank God for the opportunity that He has given me to be able to share this type of talent with the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, and the world in general.
Mom, just now I used the phrase, the world makes sense now. And now that you are speaking, and I mean this sincerely, now that you are speaking, the world does make sense now. I put the pieces together more nicely so now, and I understand why these young ladies are the way that they are. You've actually been very humble in the way that you describe yourself, and I don't think that you're taking quite as much credit as I'm sure the girls would accrue to you as well. But I'm sure that just redounds to your personal humility and disposition altogether. But I am sure the girls will agree with me when we say that we can tell, at least I certainly can in this encounter, that there is a lot more credit that you deserve, that you are not readily willing to accept, but that will still be showered upon you nonetheless. So, Mommy, I wish to thank you very much. It was a pleasure chatting with you, interacting with you at the Interfaith service, and it's been a pleasure to be a fan of your daughters and their music for the last few years. A pleasure to meet them tonight, a pleasure to have them on the show and to have had this conversation with them, and to be educated by some of the information that they have shared, and to be inspired, just like so many other Trinbagonians, by their music, their charisma, their performances, and all else that we get from the, as you say, Xavier Strings experience.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to thank you again, and I want to thank you, Trinidad and Tobago, for joining us for this 10th episode of Trini Inspiration. God willing, I'll catch up with you again next Monday from the Errol Fabian studio. Hopefully by then we'll have our sign up and ready for you and have a nice big ribbon cutting ceremony and that sort of stuff. We'll see what the Lord has in store for us, right? So maybe we might be able to get a pre-recording of Xavier Strings providing some music while we cut the ribbon in the background. You know? And if that's happening, we're going to ask Uncle Errol to come back in studio to cut that ribbon as well. If it can all happen, all right? So it's a challenge to ourselves from ourselves. But till next Monday, on behalf of Xavier Strings and myself, Fazir, thank you for viewing. Do be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Till then, bye-bye for now, and God bless.
Take care.